Hello everyone. Welcome to the World News. Today we are going to critical analyze how US could lose a war with China. Friends, have you ever wondered? If there is a war between US and China, who will win? Do you know that some experts believe that despite its massive military power and networks of military bases and allies, it is possible that US may lose to China? Today, drawing your attention towards this issue, we will analyze who has what chances of winning in a possible US-China war, and what are its reasons. Let us first go to the background. Friends, in the last few years, there have been many major shifts in global politics, in which the rise of China and the growing rivalry between US and China is a historical event. In the last century, after World War II, the US-Soviet Cold War that lasted for almost 4 decades ended in 1990. After which America emerged as the undisputed leader of international politics like a superpower, whose dominance continues till date. But now China has started challenging this dominance somewhere. Due to rapid economic rise, today China is the second largest economy in the world with a GDP of $14.5 trillion, due to which it has been possible for it to emerge as a great power. China, which peacefully focused on its domestic politics for many years, was suffering from hunger and poverty, is today asserting itself internationally as well. This is the reason why we hear news of Chinese expansion from South China Sea to Indian Ocean and Africa, trade war with the US, threatening Australia with missile attacks, or direct confronts against India in Doklam and Galwan. All these are the outcomes of China's rising might. In this context, many scholars even claim that perhaps a new Cold War has begun, in which China is standing against the USA today. But the question is, if this new Cold War gives birth to a full-fledged war between the US and China, will the superpower US be able to win in it? Let's see. US might lose. Friends, in the USA, a think tank called the Grand Corporation, located in the USA, analyzes the military capabilities of the US and other countries using scientific and mathematical tools. Simulation exercises called war games are one way to do this. In one such war game conducted in 2019, participating defense expert David Omni claims that in a possible US-China war, the US will have to face defeat. But before we understand why he says so, let us first understand what will be the character of a possible US-China war, and where will it be fought. The location of war. Friends, it is important to understand that our world is quite different in the 21st century. David Occam says that it is not at all the case that in a US-China war, China will capture the US or establish its control there. The character of this war will be very different from traditional war. And to win that, China will not need to defeat the US militarily and comprehensively. In this context, it is important to understand that this possible war is most likely to take place not in the American continent or Europe but in the Indo-Pacific, far away from there. Indo-Pacific is the region where the world's busiest sea routes are located, from where more than 50% of container trade passes today. The world's most crucial choke points such as the Strait of Malacca, the Strait of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb are located here. Due to the increasing importance of the Arctic and Northern Sea route, the Bering Strait, which is in the Pacific, can also emerge as a choke point in the future. Apart from this, the world's fastest growing economies such as India and ASEAN are located here, where rising purchasing power will make it a major market. Unlike Western nations whose market and economy are now starting to stagnate. Along with this, African states which control massive resources are also located here, due to which China is making massive investments there today through its Belt and Road Initiative. Both China and USA recognize the importance of Indo-Pacific. That is why China pushed BRI and US pushed Trans-Pacific Partnership. Along with this, Obama also launched Asian Pivot Policy. That is, the focus of US is now towards Indo-Pacific, away from West Asia and Western Europe. The rise of Quad also indicates this. Apart from this, Taiwan, which is called one of the biggest strategic allies of US, is also located here, which China considers as its part, but due to the support of USA, it has not been able to annex it till date. Along with this, North Korea, which threatens US with its nuclear warheads almost every day, is also located here with Chinese support. In totality, if a future war happens between US and China, then its major region will be about the control of the conflict zones and choke points of Indo-Pacific. But China has a massive geographical advantage in this Indo-Pacific. Let's see how. The geographical advantage. The simple thing is that China is closest to the important strategic locations of this region, which gives it a major advantage in comparison to the US. The US operates its military bases here. But most of the territories are independent nations. And there too China is trying to improve its economic ties. Apart from this, Obama's Asia pivot policy. It proved to be a failure largely, which has failed to stop China's military and economic power from spreading in the Indo-Pacific. China has increased its military presence by building several artificial islands in the South China Sea, and the US kept watching. Beyond the immediate vicinity, China has also been successful in investing in several infrastructure projects through BRI. These include the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Gwadar Hambantota in Sri Lanka, Coco Islands in Myanmar, Chittagong Port in Bangladesh, and projects in East Africa such as Djibouti, Dar es Salaam, Mobaz, and Lamu. US's traditional ally Pakistan is today China's ally. China also has an official military base in Djibouti, and it operates an intelligence gathering facility in Myanmar's Coco Islands. Apart from these official facilities, there is speculation that China will gradually establish bases in many more places through the string of pearl strategy and debt trap diplomacy. According to the Washington Post, a Chinese military base is already operational in Tajikistan's Kizlyar Boat, which is near the strategically important Wakhan Corridor. Apart from this, in the last 20 years, China has developed its strategy a lot by taking lessons from the Gulf War and the Iraq War. Although the US has many crucial military bases in the Indo-Pacific. But according to the RAND Corporation, these military bases are geographically very close to China, and hence China is in a better position to attack them easily. Its missiles can easily reach Guam and Hawaii. Some strategists believe that missile strikes on American air bases will be the most crucial in a possible war, which can make American operations non-functional for at least a few days. The non-functionality of these bases, even for a few days, can change the course of the overall conflict. Apart from this, the maintenance of US military presence in the Indo-Pacific is very costly, and in this case too China is in an advantageous position. Geographical proximity significantly reduces Chinese military costs, unlike the USA. Military capability. Apart from this geographical advantage, according to the Ultimate Military Strength Index published by Military Direct in March 2021, today China has the strongest military force in the world. China is at the top with 82 on 100 points. It is the most superior in naval power, and 406 warships, followed by 278 with Russia and 202 with USA and India. Despite the fact that USA has the highest military spending, it is in second place in this index, with 74 on 100 points, followed by Russia and India. Apart from this, both China and its ally Russia have developed vast arrays and strong networks of missile raiders, long-range aviation systems, nuclear submarines and electronic warfare systems, which can be successful in stopping the USA and its allies from operating in the Western Pacific and Eastern Europe. Perhaps the US will not even be able to defend its allies. Anyway, the USA is at the forefront of air power with its more than 14,000 airships, whereas China has only 3,587 airships. This is the reason why the main focus of Chinese observers is the US air bases, which it will try to target through its missiles. Apart from this, the Chinese focus will not only be on air bases, but also on aircraft carriers. Because this entire region is oceanic, and China's naval power is superior. Therefore, China can get an advantage here too. Admiral Philip Davidson also highlighted the need for advanced air and naval platforms in his testimony. He says that the US will have to compete with weapons like China's aerial refuelable bomber H-6N and Lung-3 AOD guided missile destroyer, which are quite powerful. Apart from this, he also highlighted the dangers of the Chinese Army's electromagnetic railguns, hypersonic glide vehicles, and land attack and anti-ship supersonic cruise missiles. Apart from traditional military attack, China may also be successful in targeting the USA's space-located sensors and communication links. David Oak Manick suspects that China can also corrupt the USA's command system-related databases through cyber warfare. In this sense, this possible war will truly be a multidimensional war. All this together has tilted the balance of power towards China, especially in Taiwan, Baltic Sea and South China Sea, where earlier US dominance was unquestionable. The counter-argument. Let us now look at the counter-argument, but many analysts including David Occam say that this is just a hypothetical calculation, and it is tough to predict how the war will be fought on the ground. China's new weapons are largely untested because after 1979 China has never been involved in a war. Its ongoing experience is limited to joint military exercises only, whereas USA has a lot of experience in war, which gives it an advantage. Apart from this, An article published in The Diplomat claims that Chinese military might is just a hyperbole or exaggeration. And there are some hidden weaknesses of the Chinese military which need to be paid attention to. The first weakness is the structural problem of the People's Liberation Army and lack of reforms. On one hand, China has modernized its weapons, but it is far behind in armed forces reforms, due to which it may face a lot of difficulties in implementing these modern technologies. Xi Jinping had talked about reform in military command structures in 2015 itself, which is outdated and is a victim of rampant corruption. Due to this, PLA's joint exercises are not effective. PLA is divided into many military regions, which are in themselves like feudal structures or fabdooms. Many of these regions also face a logistical resource crunch, and they may not be able to sustain major military campuses. The PLA is facing severe manpower challenges due to which its military personnel are not very skilled and educated, especially at the lower levels. It is said that rampant corruption in recruitment is a major reason for this. Even though Xi Jinping has initiated military reforms, the final milestone of these reforms is 2049, when the PLA will emerge as a fully modernized and world-class force. This is a long time, and it is also doubtful how successful the reforms will be. Xi Jinping recognizes that by giving advanced weapons to a poorly traded and poorly managed military, China's strategic ambitions will not be achieved. China's victory will also be difficult because the US is also trying to improve relations with its allies while acknowledging the Chinese threat. In the G7 summit, an infrastructure plan called Build Back Better World has been unveiled to counter BRI. Along with this, US officials are understanding military technological solutions. And under the new Tri-Service Strategy Battle Force 2045 plan, there is a plan to counter the Chinese strategy, especially in the Pacific. Its main aim is to reduce military cost in the Pacific through technological solutions. There is a special focus on naval power in this strategy, and the main aim is to take the US naval ships beyond 500. In this, the majority of ships will be unmanned. USA is also far behind China in nuclear power. On one hand, while the US has more than 5,000 warheads, China has only 300 warheads. In this possible war, if Russia comes on China's side with 6,000 nuclear warheads, only then will it be able to compete against USA. So friends, these were the arguments which help us understand the possibility of victory and defeat in a possible war between the US and China. But we can end this video with the hope that in the kind of highly complicated situation we are in today with weapons of mass destruction and nuclear weapons, it would be good for humanity if there is no war between these great powers. If conflicts are avoided through continuous cooperation and dialogue, then that would probably be the most positive outcome. And with this note, this is the end of video. Thanks for watching, and subscribe this channel. May the God watch over you.